Okay, welcome everyone. In this instructional video, we're going to talk about the new electrical components that we have with the upgraded systems that Pittsco has given us, which is really a great thing. I mean, it makes a lot of difference, whereas before we had the old systems, let me just get those old systems out, where these guys would always pull out, as you can see in here, like these wires pulled out of the motherboard. And so this motor control system is just garbage at this point. And, you know, I've tried to solder these things in, and I've even used some advanced soldering irons and stuff, and it's just nothing is really ever good. Luckily for us, Pittsco has made changes. They're just expensive changes, so we can only supply just so many robots with these new motor control systems, which are basically just like USB plugs that go in. So we're going to be able to do all of that really quick this time, and I'm going to also show you guys how to put a motor on so we can attach our wheels here. And I want to show you how the wheel system for the, like I just did one wheel in the middle. And this is really not all set up correctly, but you could see that I'm using these guys here, which are called bushings. There's like a little spacer in there. There's a lock here, so you just tie that down to your axle that goes through, and then you'll have a wheel that spins. And this type of system is actually very common when you're using the wheels. Here's another robot where you can see the two bushings. You can see locking hub and then the axles to make this system so that you can just attach a wheel to your robot, and now we have a freestanding wheel. So those freestanding wheels, the directions to put those are online on our website, and I can show you where that stuff is, but we're going to be doing the actual motor system. And so we have a motor bracket, and we're just going to slide that motor bracket over our motor. And now this axle that's coming out of the motor is not centered. It's actually off-centered. And what that does is it gives you an opportunity to change the ratio of like how the gear is going to work, where it's going to be, like if you want to put a bigger gear on there or a smaller gear if you're doing gears. In the case of the tank treads, you can see that there is a gear on there, and that's this gear. And we want to make sure that our treads are a little bit tighter, and by turning this around, it allows us to change the location of that gear, whether it's all the way down or all the way up or forward and backward, just by rotating it in the bracket. So I'm going to keep it down for right now, and I'm just going to put that motor here. I want to make sure that it's even on both sides. And I need our long screws. So these are the reasons that we have these long screws. And if you take a look, one screw is a little bit longer than the other. And that screw that's longer goes into the bigger side. So we want to make sure that we've got that squared away and that we're lining them up into the proper holes. Let me just make sure I got everything right here. Good. That'll slide down. And now I just need a cap nut to go underneath it. And the same, I use the same sort of system here where I'm balancing that cap nut on my finger just to get it underneath. I think it's probably the most successful for me, but if you come up with your own ideas, that's fine too. Whatever it does, whatever you can do to make it work. Okay, so what you should know is the side that has the longer screw, this is basically the clamp that really tightens down on your motor. So the more you tighten it, the more that clamp closes. And when it closes, it really keeps it from being able to turn at all. So just be aware of that. And the other thing that you should know is that on these axles that come out, there's actually a flat side of them. So they're rounded, and then there's like a flat side. The reason for that is there's this axle hub that's on, that I connected with 4 screws onto this gear. And when you're doing a wheel, I'll show you my other robot. There's more axle hubs here. There's another one underneath here, but you'll see that there's screws that connect. And those screws that connect into that, there's a hub in there. And then same thing, this is actually the hubs on the outside. The screws are coming up underneath that. And they connect that hub to the wheel. In this particular case, I've done that here, where I have this hub that's connected to our gear, and there's a little tiny thing that's coming out of it right there. I don't know if you can see that. and I have to screw that down onto the axle. And to get it onto the axle in the right place, it needs to be screwed in onto the flat side of that. So what I need to do is I need to slide this on here, and that would not be the right place to do it. I need to get it underneath, unfortunately, because that's just where it is. And I could actually just, you know what, let's come back to that, because I could turn it on and have it turn, and so we'll see what happens. So let's get into setting up our electrical components for this. So we've got some wires. I've already had my switch set up. I have my system set up, the RC motor control. And on this motor control, it actually states where the motors can go. And so here's one of the motor wires. And so it's already labeled red to black. We just have to put them on red, black, which is great. I love this new system that they did for Pitsco. I can't wait till all of them are like this, because it's just basically plug and play. And I'll put the other motor in. And so, believe it or not, that's already done and ready to go, which is so nice. It's so much easier. I have my switch and the battery is not hooked up just yet, but we can put those in, and it says 12 volts here. And it's great for competition because we can do 2 batteries and we can do a bunch of different things, which is really great. They give us that option. I love it. And now I've got to connect my inputs into here like I did before. So I will connect my inputs in. And again, I'm going to keep my lighter colors on the inside. And this one says input number 2, so I'm just going to make sure it's on channel 2. Okay. This is input number 1. So I'm putting that in. Now that I have that set up, I can turn on my system, except this time I need a battery. And I have this is the big battery that I didn't have before. So what I want to do is I got to find a place for this to go, and it's not really going to go in here, but for this demonstration I'll just put it on the robot. But I don't suggest anyone just leave a battery hanging out there. You should find a space for the battery. You should figure out how it goes and connects in. Pitsco has designed these battery clamps for the big batteries to clamp in, and you could definitely figure out a way to put those down onto your robot. The smaller batteries, like I had in my other robot, are actually pretty good, but you got to find a way to get them into the robot. I'm sure that Pitsco has something that clamps down to these things too. I just don't have them in my lab. So we're just going to put this on here for right now, and let's attach it, and let's see this robot light up a little bit. And it is, everything's going, but this receiver does not connect to this receiver. Maybe it does. Oh, we are good. All right. If it doesn't, it's an easy way to connect it. I can show that in another video. It's not too big of a deal. But now that I've got my receiver hooked up to both, something's happening here. That means this is spinning and it's not working correctly. But notice that this one is spinning. So I just want to make sure that it spins so that that part is up. So my flat part is up. Now I can probably put this on. It's probably a little bit easier. I'll slide this over. I'll take an Allen key or hex head that fits that screw, and I'll tighten it down. Make sure that I'm tightening it on the flat part of the axle coming out of the system. And now if I moved it, we're moving. All right, so now I just have to do a couple other things. Get my treads on and fix this side because it's probably not connected correctly over there. So I'll connect that one correctly and I'll have a moving robot.